My audience, today I will be reviewing you a book, Abominable, Dan Simmons. And man, Dan Simmons is just a freaking genius. He's a master writer in fiction, and this one is not science fiction, but you can use your own imagination to make this into a science fiction. It's a historical novel about the 1920s and about the middle point of 1920s. And it's about climbing the Mount Everest and also about other mountain ranges in Tibet. There are a couple of storylines, but in this one he doesn't draw clear distinctions between those storylines. And I don't know if there's a deeper message behind this book, but basically it's a book about the challenges of climbing the highest mountain tops and the highest mountain top on planet Earth. And he talks a lot about frostbite and, problems that come with being in too high altitude. It's also a kind of, a learning experience. And I'm not a mountain climber, enthusiast, or I'm not interested in this. But I got a couple of ideas from this for a YouTube channel made by a really fat guy that never climbs mountains, cannot even climb the stairs, but still is so freaking otaku about, mountain climbing, has all the fucking mountain climbing gear and talks about it all day on YouTube, but still won't ever do it himself. And it was one idea I got from this pretty funny one, but I feel that it was a very strong, book, and it's a very well written, story, and you can see into these scenes at some points very well, and at some points the description is a bit more weak. And then it goes into a very weird direction in the end part. There's this, how would I say it? He starts to talk about the World War II and the Nazis and the Germany and also the mountain ranges in the Alps. And it goes into a very, weird, kind of feeling like, where's the story going to? And I don't know, he doesn't really describe this character so well in this book as in some other books. Maybe it would be a kind of experience of those real climbers. They don't maybe know each other so well. Maybe like going to war, the same kind of experience. But I feel that with the Hyperion series, does this top Hyperion, well, it's so much a different book that you can't really compare them. But I would say no, because the characters are not so fleshed out, the structure of Hyperion is so genius. It has, to my knowledge, like what I have read, other science fiction writers, it hasn't really been duplicated by anybody. It was such a, unique thing that he did, and it was pre-internet. And here you can see that his imaginative powers have kind of waned, from those days. And he has these ups and downs. Every writer, even a master, has. What I said about Endymion was that, or the fall of Endymion, or what was the book called? I said about that even a master makes shitty work sometimes, and I think it's a pretty shitty book, the second part of Hyperion. But this is a very solid, book, and a very, very good book to read. It was just winter time, and it's very cold, here in Finland. Minus 20 degrees, now it's starting to melt the snow. So I have had some problems again with my knees and my leg muscles, so I have been sitting around a lot inside, and I haven't gotten so much exercise. But yeah, so I've been reading a lot of books, and this was one of them, and it's my favorite fiction writer for sure. I really dig Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy, but I can't say that that's my favorite writer because he didn't write so much. Douglas Adams, because he died pretty young. But Dan Simmons is still alive, and I think there's going to be a book, and maybe not this year, but in the years to come there's going to be a book, and from the title you could imagine that it's going to be a science fiction book, but it's possible that I'm going to show you the next book I'm going to read by this guy. And this is his newest book then, and this one was from year 2014, and this one is from year 2016, I think, The Fifth Heart, and it matches to my character. It's about Sherlock Holmes. It's a detective novel. He's like newest one, and from here, you know, I can feel that at least from the beginning he's kind of losing his mojo, and it's understandable, but I have ordered almost every one of the newest books from him. Black Hills, that's about a shaman, and then Olympus, that's about the Trojan Wars, and it's a science fiction novel. It's historical sci-fi. It's kind of interesting that when he quit writing sci-fi with the Hyperion series, he went into historical science fiction. Then he started to write historical books like Drood, that's about Charles Dickens, and I also have that coming in. And then he wrote a couple of, you know, World War II books like The Crook Factory. That's about Hemingway, I think, yeah. And he has written, you know, fictional stories about other writers, you know, and he's very, you know, read man. And in some of the books he also does some rhyming and some poetical stuff. He's not a poet, but he talks about John Keats a lot in the Hyperion series, and in this one there was no poetical ways to say stuff. It was pretty, you know, the descriptiveness was pretty okay, you know, but it was a more, you know, a realistic type of a novel, and there were no supernatural elements or anything like that, and no strong characters. And I feel that the Hyperion series shined because, you know, you had the Shrike character that was so, you know, mythical, and all the characters were very, very thought out and fleshed out. But what I feel with writers and my own writing is that the further I progress into it, the weaker the characters become, the better the writing becomes, you know. The characters lose their kind of selfhood, blend into this kind of one thing, and that's what happens over here also. And you can think that that's bad, but I'm going to say that it brings forth the kind of, your writing is no longer a means to an end like a spaceship. It's there for its own sake. Yeah, and yeah, like that's like artful writing, but that's kind of different. So the words don't lead to anything anymore, you know. Yeah, I think that's it. I hope you liked it. The ending of this book I'm not gonna talk about. It's very weird. Yeah, thanks for watching this.